Okay, let's have a look at something else here. If we have a look at this, let me just run this once again. Okay, so here we have, this is a coin flip, so we have like we have probability, number of heads. Okay, so here we have a very equal distribution in the number of heads and tails. So it's almost identical. Okay, so we have a 50% likelihood of it being tails and 50% likelihood of it being heads. Okay, and this is fascinating because this goes to show that when we do have an equal likelihood or probability of an outcome falling to our favor or to our disadvantage, then you need to apply other parameters. You need to focus on other parts of the trade in order to bring things to our advantage. Okay, and this is when applying an edge to the market makes perfect sense. And so you have to find your statistically your statistical edge over the market. This can be whatever moving averages, any one of the methods that we explained previously, or you can apply it to something else like risk management, money management, stuff like that. Okay, so anyway, a little bit of food for thought. Okay, let's have a look at the charts and see what's going on. Let's widen this. Let's have a look at the start of the Aussie and see what the Aussie's doing. Just going to move this down. I'm going to go to the monthly chart and see what's happening here. Okay, so if we have a look at this, this is all the data we have. We have a very big departure in price. Okay, so we had a very strong move. Let me plug in my pen. So we have, okay, so we have an origin of a move. Oops. Yeah, sorry. We have an origin move. It starts here. It goes all the way up to here. Price went up. And now it's moving down. Okay, where do we have deep pullbacks? Where's the deepest pullback since price left from this area here? It's right here. Oops. So I can do it straight. It's right there. Okay. So price came back to this area historically. And so if price is up here, we can expect price to go to at least this area here. And looking at this price structure here, we don't want to focus on anything here or anything here, because if you divide the chart up into our buy and sell side, here we have the sell side. Let's change the color for the buy side, green. Let's do it from here to here. Well, then we want to be focusing on demand in this leg up here. Okay, so if we have a look at that, notice that we have the beginning of the buy zone, which is here, but notice that we also have other buy zones. And we have this area of demand just here. You see the white candle, the buy zone is there. Price tore through it. Obviously, this is like kind of the recession kicking in, this coronavirus, kind of the catalyst of this of these huge price swings, this high volatility. And notice the price went down here. And if you look at this here, let's zoom in a little and have a look. So you can see here we had this here. Okay, price tested it once, tested it twice, and we came up. So we had this area of accumulation. We had two candles. Price moved above this high here and above this high here. The origin of the move is around here. I'm just going to mark off a couple of areas. So we've got this one here. You know, I'm going to use, just going to delete this one. I'm going to use this line here. So we have this one here because this is where the slingshot was pulled back before it left. We have another slingshot which is positioned just here. And this is an interesting one because this is just a very clear swing. How price came down, we managed to come up here, we moved above this high, we poked into this supply, the slingshot was pulled back, and then we went north. And this slingshot being pulled back to here is responsible for removing this. And this is essentially in the leg that moved up to these all-time highs. So if we mark off that area here from the high, first the low of the slingshot here to the low here, we'll probably find that, and this is pretty clearly obviously where price went to. So if we go like that and zoom out, yeah, and you can see, I mean, this one's gone now. This is pretty clearly where price went to. Price went into this area here, the slingshot of the first one, then we had a bounce. And if you go to the weekly chart and have a look, let's have a look exactly where price went to. Okay, and then we'll scroll back and have a look and see what that looked like just here. Zoom in. Okay, so we have price coming up, we have a high, we have a low, we have accumulation, and then we have a period of accumulation. We have this here. Oops, there it is. Notice that we had this whole little structure here, how price went up, we moved sideways, and then price left. I mean, the lowest pullback just prior to the departure is here. Okay, and this is simply resistance becoming support and then price left. Okay, so this is the slingshot being pulled back and price departing north, and this is pretty close to where price came to. If we have a look, yeah, it came right to it here, and it looks like magic, and it really isn't. It's a furthest thing from magic. It's simply an analysis of, let's see if I can find it again, it's simply an analysis of how price reacts to the beginning of the buy and the beginning of the sell zone, this being a very good example of the beginning of a buy zone. And so we actually have three areas of value here. We have this one here, and we have the one above it, and we have the one above that just here. Okay, so price just poked into the middle one here. So we had a child. This is a child because this is created as a result of this. Okay, so price kind of moving away from these lows here. We moved up, we established like a new dealing range. Price moved higher, a new dealing range. So this is also telling us that there's an interest, people are interested, people are okay with buying at higher prices. So when you see this and then price pops out like we saw just here, and this is telling us that we have some pretty interesting price sensitive areas at this price window just here. Okay, so we also have pancakes here. So we have pancakes here, all throughout here. We have another plate just below it, and we have another plate just below that. Okay, and so this is really interesting to us, and this is stuff that we should really be paying attention to. Okay, cool. Let's remove all of this, and let's have a look at something else. Let's have a look at the Australian dollar. Actually, let's have a look at the euro. So what's the euro doing? Well, here, looking at the monthly, you can see that we have, let's have a close look here. We have this one here, how this candle closed above the highs of this. The body of this is in the range of the previous, the body of this is in the range of the previous. So these are all linked together. Here we have massive ranges, massive dealing ranges here. But we do have this one here, which is nested within this monthly area just below, which just disappeared. It's because I don't have enough data on my chart. If I go like this, I go back and it'll come back. And there it is. It's just because it's not showing it because the data disappeared. But we had this here, price kind of poked into this area and then price left. So if we look at this just here, this is kind of the beginning of the buy zone here on the monthly chart. And these are really wide. These are very wide. So price poked into it and then we left. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, that means that next time price comes back to that area, I mean, you don't want to be buying there. You want to be buying at the very best, at the most expensive price, which would be the deepest retracement since that. Or you go to the smaller time frame and you identify these micro areas that are going to be located below. Okay, and if you look here, if we go like this, you can see we have kind of something similar going on as we had earlier, where we had slingshot. Let's pull back to here. We have another slingshot that was pulled back to here. Let's have a look at this one where we had okay, this candle here moved outside the body of this candle. The close of this candle was above the range of that, and so we'd probably do something like this. You could focus on the bottom here like so we have something towards the bottom. Or if you go to a smaller time frame, you'll probably see something that looks a little bit clearer. Okay, here we are, where we have similar things going on. Okay, where we had this one here. First of all, we have to find areas that have been respected historically. So we had this area here, and notice here that, I mean, price had a tough time coming through here, there, and there. So we'll go like that. Tested. Price went through, but we didn't hold. This is the pullback that price had to come to before releasing. And so price, this is going to be the most expensive price you want to pay. And then price came a little bit lower. Okay, price, we moved through the area. The area that did it is this one here. This is the slingshot. So this is beginning of the buy zone for this area of demand here. So this is one it's choosing. So it looks something like this. So if we remove this one, remove this one, and this one, because this one's gone, and we have this one here. Okay, and beyond that, we have the pullback. The slingshot was pulled back to here. So if we go and see where price reacted, it's probably close to that area. Let's go to the weekly chart. Now we didn't quite get there. Didn't quite get there. We came very close to the weekly area. Oops. Which is this one here, which is, I mean, this is the area. This is a child area that tested this area of this older sibling. Okay, so here we have the parent, we have a child, and we have a younger child here. Okay, so this is established as a result of that, and this is established as a result of that. So price went up, slingshot was pulled back, price went higher. We didn't manage to move above these highs. We had to drive price lower before we started to attract some buying, and then we saw that, and you can see here how price gapped higher. Okay, and so this is where price came to. Price was happy going down to this area here, and if you look at this one here, notice that we had one period of accumulation. Okay, so the candle that left this one here, so the close of this candle is, the body of this candle is not the range of the previous. The body of this is within the range of the previous. So you could mark it off like this from the low to the low here. I mean, you could just do this, so you make sure you get the whole area in. And this is where the price came to roughly. We still didn't get there. So, but you can see, I mean, how powerful these areas are. And they're pretty simple to find. It's very important that you don't overcomplicate things, because it's easy to do so. So if you're looking at something that's not making sense, just try and look at something else. Okay, and if we look to the upside here, I mean, now you're asking me, where's price going to go to? I mean, that's a really good question. You think like, well, where is price going to go to? And no one knows. But notice also that, I mean, this here we have pretty efficient trading. How price comes, it leaves, it deviates from the mean, it returns to it. We leave, we come back. We leave, we come back. So price is relatively well balanced. And notice we had a pretty interesting, this is probably one of the most significant pullbacks since here. We had a couple of them. We had this one and we had this one, and the origins indicated would have highlighted these for us, but price pulled back to this one and then it left. Price came back to this one, and then we moved below this one, and we actually moved below this area of demand, which was tested a couple of times. Price moved through that. So the area of supply that removed this demand here, well, there's something up in here. We won't go down and have a look, but you can see pretty clearly that there's something up in here, because we had this area. Let's just box off the whole area. Move this line, test. We still didn't manage to go through. But when price was pulled back to this area here, this is where we attracted selling pressure that was strong enough to move price below this area of weekly demand. Okay, and so price came back to that pullback, which is the beginning of the sell zone, and this is where we found resistance. We onboarded some sellers, and then price retreated and moved back down to the opposing side of the market, which was this area just down here. Cool, well, I'm going to leave it at that. I hope you found this interesting. If you have any questions, please post them in the video below, or leave them in our Discord channel if you're in there. And if you want to receive updates when we post videos, then be sure to subscribe to the channel and click on the notification button. Thanks for watching.